My Jamaican family, what a year it has been. In all my days, I've never seen a year like this. We are living in a time of intense frustration and disaffection, a time of hand-to-mouth living, a time of violence and fear. Look around you, Jamaicans. So I come to you today with a song in my heart, and it goes, there is power in the name of Jesus. Yes, my Jamaican family, time come now to break every chain that is holding this country back. We have had a long, tough, traumatic colonial history in this country. Our journey has been hard, and we are still living with the vestiges of the past that are holding us back. That is why the British King is still the head of state of our land, Jamaica. That is why we are not yet fully on board with the Caribbean Court of Justice as our final court. That is why we are so violent in how we deal with each other. That is why we don't even respect our own Jamaican language in this country. That's why we still deny communities access to their beaches. And it's why we see the government bulldozing houses of vulnerable Jamaicans, people who the state should be protecting, not oppressing. We must build one nation where we are all respected as Jamaicans. That has always been the mission of our party. As our founding father, the Right Excellent Norman Washington Manley, told us, this national movement continues to be composed of an alliance of these classes and others who sympathize with our aims under our banner to work for the freedom of Jamaica. Daddy Manley says so. The system we have now in this country is not working for far too many Jamaicans. We need a people-centered strategy for development of this country. So we need to change the paradigm. The General Secretary has said there are two Jamaicas, and he has expressed it vividly with examples. And it is true, it is a reality. But there is hope, because the power to achieve the change we need resides in the people of Jamaica. The people have the power to make the change. It is time to free the Jamaican people from the deep sense of frustration and oppression that comes from a system that is not working for the majority of our people. Jamaica must not squander the chance of constitutional reform we are undertaking as a nation at this time. The Constitution is the overarching guide to the way the whole system operates. It is the rules that we have made for ourselves and the processes that govern our lives as a people. The Constitution is not a meal deal, it is a big deal. As a first step, we must reform the Constitution to complete the decolonization process. We need to decolonize Jamaica once and for all. We in the PNP have no interest in moving to a republic while retaining the King's Privy Council in London as Jamaica's final court. That does not make sense to any progressive person. Jamaicans need a final court where they don't need a visa to go there, and where the costs of attending court are not way out of their reach. Time come for a Jamaican head of state and the Caribbean Court of Justice as our final court. Decolonization now. We, the People's National Party, will support both moving forward together. We have no interest in one without the other. We also want to make the government accountable to the people of Jamaica in the parliament. That is why I brought the impeachment bill to parliament. So then, when a politician violates the sacred trust of the people, he or she will be held accountable. We want to deepen the democracy. We want to make the elected people more accountable to those they represent. We must introduce a recall mechanism for non-performing elected representatives, as other parties and countries have done around the world. And we must restore the convention where the committees of parliament are chaired by the opposition. That was an innovation started by the other party, by a previous prime minister, and continued by us when we were last in government. But in 2020, Andrew Holness changed course with it. Those committees are supposed to be a check and balance on the government. They cannot be effective if they are controlled by the government. When Andrew Holness reversed the convention after the 2020 election, it was a retrograde step. And I tell you, he never put it in his manifesto that he'd be doing that. People, a corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also. I do not support corruption. Corruption takes money away from children's education. It deprives hospitals of basic necessities. It means that roads are not fixed. Corruption deepens inequality. It siphons off taxpayers' money to make a few cronies richer with the political connections instead of benefiting the people. This government has been doing everything it can to weaken and undermine the Integrity Commission, which is an institution that I designed as Minister of Justice and brought the legislation to Parliament to fight corruption in this country. I have said it before and I will tell you again. Jamaica cannot move forward without a government built on integrity that embraces principles of good governance in this country. That is what I believe in. That is how I live my life. I, Mark Jefferson Golding, am a born Jamaican, son of the soil. I come from a family that has given great service to the people of this country. Selfless service to ordinary Jamaicans, building lasting institutions of inclusion to empower persons with disabilities. That is my family tradition. I am who I am. Out of many, one people. I am offering myself to the Jamaican people for service in their interests with the skills, the knowledge, and the experience that I have gained in my life. I don't come here to scrape from the people. I come to serve all Jamaicans. And I come to you, Jamaica, with clean hands and a clean heart. Whatever depraved and divisive vulgarities my political opponents may stoop to in their desperation to hold on to power, I will not be daunted. I have no fear of them. I stand firm in leading our party in our mission of social and economic transformation to a better Jamaica for all our people. I am leading the People's National Forward. The mission of the last PNP administration from 2012 to 2016 was to fix Jamaica's long-standing chronic debt problem so that Jamaica could escape the debt trap and give our people a real chance of inclusive national development. Under Sister P and under Dr. Peter Phillips, we transformed the systems of managing our public finances in this country. So successful was this effort. Yeah. The irony of it is, you know, when that happened to Andrew Holness in Parliament, them claims that PNP sabotage him. I'm going to tell them it's a damn foolishness and I get myself in a trouble for it. Anyway, we're back up and running. So successful was this effort that in just 10 years, Jamaica's debt in comparison to the size of our economy, which is what the economists call the debt to GDP ratio, how big your debt is relative to the size of your economy, was cut in half over 10 years, from 147% in 2013 to 78% in 2023. But as great an achievement as it is not enough. While things look good on the books, we are not balancing people's lives, as Sister P would say. Our economy is not delivering prosperity for the majority of our people. Since getting back to where it was before the pandemic, the economy is once again hardly growing, and it is still delivering mainly low-paying jobs, as Julian Robinson said. The education system is failing our children, and our society is plagued by high levels of violent crime. How can any government claim they deserve another term in office when this is the record and this is what they're delivering for the people of Jamaica? In fact, for this government, prosperity is symbolized as a donkey. It is their hee-haw way of delivering prosperity in this country. Their concept of prosperity is a beast of burden, a low-tech solution for modern-day problems. The JLP's jackass name prosperity is symbolic of the low-wage, low-tech, low-growth economy in which Jamaica is trapped. But the people are crying out for more. They want to see this country move in the right direction. They want to see positive change. They want opportunities to step up in a life and to see hope for a better life for themselves and their families. And they need the People's National Party to do that. Thousands of tertiary trained students graduate each year having made the investment in preparing themselves for the future, for the workforce. But they are facing the daunting prospect of an economy that is only offering low-wage jobs that do not meet their aspirations for personal development. Our people want peace and security in their communities. They want a society based on social justice, where every Jamaican is respected and treated as a valued citizen of this country. Jamaicans need a government that will begin to tackle the deep problems that are holding our country back. The challenges that are dimming the flame of hope for a better tomorrow. No more of the same. No more of the same. Time come to move in the right direction. Time come to take real steps towards the next era of transformation of our beloved nation. We can do it, Jamaica. So when the government gets a credit rating from the credit rating agencies indicating that Jamaica is a good credit risk, we know that. We made that happen. Dr. Peter Phillips, Sister P, with me doing the legal work to support it, made that happen. But it is not enough, and the people need more. And the power lies in the people to make it happen. The PNP will lead the country on a new mission, which is to achieve the next great transformation of Jamaica. We must take Jamaica out of the current low-wage, low-tech, low-growth model and move forward to a higher level of national development. Our mission is to move from fiscal stability to economic transformation. Fiscal stability is important. We understand how to do it. We understand why it's necessary, but it is not sufficient. Economic and social transformation is where we need to go. And that is where we will be taking Jamaica. We need to begin to build a different Jamaica, a Jamaica moving in the right direction. And I will now tell you some of what we have in mind for the future. Beginning with education and training. The People's National Party believes that investing in the development of our people is the key to economic and social transformation. The great talents, resilience, creative power of the Jamaican people have made us global superstars in culture and sports. The next PNP administration will invest in the development of the capacities of people to be productive and innovative in other areas too. To get there, we cannot accept what exists in education today, where over 30% of children leaving primary school cannot read and write, and around 50% don't have the basic number skills or comprehension skills. That is a recipe for underdevelopment, for backwardness, and for persistent poverty. Bond that, the PNP, not in that, we have to change that. With the current situation, it means every year many thousands of children enter high school without the foundational skills to cope with secondary school work. Most of them will eventually leave high school without achieving the basic standard of 5 C6 subjects, including English and maths. This is one of the most significant sources of Jamaicans' problems. It feeds low self-esteem, frustration, anxiety, feelings that lead too many youths into badness and criminal activity. It causes too many of our people to be left behind. Those deficits in education and training leave us behind in the global race, the global workforce, as we are not attracting investments in high-paying, high-tech, value-added production of goods and services, which is the key to wealth creation. Most importantly, our society is still suffering from the long reach of negative ideas built by slavery. We must include the teachings of the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey in our schools to build back that self-esteem, that inner confidence and personal inspiration to all our children, regardless of the race. The power of the philosophies of Garvey, of racial upliftment, self-help, collective work, those will allow our children to recognize and believe that they are beautiful and brilliant and can achieve what they will if they set their mind to it and work steadfastly to accomplish their dreams and goals. We cannot address these fundamental problems that are retarding our national progress and holding us back without addressing the weaknesses in the education system. Taking our nation in the right direction can only happen with transformation in education and training. Education and training will therefore be the #1 priority for the next PNP administration. Education and training are the key to a strong society and an economy capable of transformation to a higher level of income and wealth for our people. In keeping with the Orlando Patterson report, we will prioritize early childhood development and primary schools because our children must have a good start to advance. The goal of the next PNP government will be to ensure that Jamaica has a first-class system of early childhood development and primary school education, second to none in this region, in this hemisphere. That is how we will focus on bringing along those who are currently left behind. We will make investments in teacher training, in teacher compensation, in infrastructure and technology to support services for parenting. We need to give our children the best start in life. We will expand and improve the school feeding program to ensure adequate and proper nutrition and to encourage school attendance. Jamaica is a world power in terms of cultural influence. The expressive style and power of our language is part of what has made the Jamaican language an international cultural language. It is loved abroad, but why we don't respect it a yard? We must acknowledge that we have a language problem in this country. Part of the legacy of our colonial past is the belief that the Jamaican language created by our own people is somehow unworthy and only to be spoken by those who can do better. It is time to move beyond that negative and backward way of thinking. It is time for Jamaica to formally recognize Jamaican as a language and give it its due respect. A major cause of underachieving primary school performance is rooted in the assumption that English is the home language of our children. For many of our children, that is not so. We must use the Jamaican language to advance learning in English, arithmetic, and critical thinking. In the foundational years, we want all our children to be proficient in English, proficient in maths, to think critically. The Jamaican language has an important role to play in achieving that. We must also place emphasis on student support and the diagnosis of learning disabilities so we can deal with those problems early. Many of our children are troubled and need deeper levels of facilitation. We owe this to our children so that they can secure better educational outcomes for themselves. Education must also be the base of transformation towards a nation of productive citizens. The PNP will reinstate civics as a mandatory course in our school system. Our children must understand the structure of the Constitution. They must know their fundamental rights and freedoms as a Jamaican citizen and how to build democratic governance in our country. The wholesome values and attitudes of good citizenship, respecting each other, playing a part and caring for the well-being of everyone in our nation. We must inculcate these things into the minds of our children so that our society can be cohesive and strong. That is how we will grow the attitudes for a better, more peaceful, more loving Jamaica with a sense that we know where we are going. Education and training are the antidotes to poverty. For our tertiary students, our intention is to remove the barriers and take the fear out of borrowing student loans to invest in their education. We will eliminate the need for a guarantor of a student loan, which many students from low-income families find hard to find. The state has a responsibility to build a thriving economy, and the state, not our students, should bear the risk of being out of a job. We will therefore introduce a loan payment rule which caps monthly payments at a manageable percentage of income. In periods where the borrower is out of work, their loan payments will be suspended and tacked onto the back end of their loan term. We will not make delinquent borrowers out of our students when they are unable to access jobs which the economy should be delivering for them. In the area of training, Jamaica needs to provide training which is relevant to the current and foreseeable needs of the economy. We, the PNP, will incentivize partnerships between the state's training institutions and private sector companies which have strong training capacity to address the shortage of workers that is now becoming a major factor in the underinvestment in this economy. We will work with the private sector to solve that problem. I am already in discussions with private sector leaders to identify innovative solutions to these problems, to meet the legitimate need for workers while ensuring that the country's training capacity for our people is expanded and modernized. We must all work together to solve the problems of this nation. The PNP has always been an alliance of all well-thinking Jamaicans, uptown, downtown, round town, our country. We are there for everyone. I want to say a little bit about food security, climate change, and the transformation of agriculture. Comrades, Jamaica imports over $1 billion of food each year, and has run for many years a large trade deficit in goods. Imports are more than 3 times greater than exports. The pandemic taught us that global systems of supply are vulnerable and expose the need to reduce our reliance on external sources of feeding our people. Michael Manley said, we must eat what we grow and grow what we eat.